Okay, we're going to talk about the measures, but I do want to point out that something that sometimes people get a little confused about in experiments is that because the stimulus is an independent variable, you have to think about that as a variable too, and it is being measured, and it's typically nominal because they have these different conditions, right? So those are important to acknowledge, and as you're taking notes on the various hypotheses, etc. But then there's a measured section. This is going to be a little different than in a survey, okay? So I want to attract your attention to the fact that demographics were measured. Now, they're control variables. How do we deal with these? Well, we see that they don't end up as IVs or DVs, okay? But we see later that they're used for various checks and controls and to make arguments about external validity in the sample. So important to acknowledge. Then we have perceived information attent. Oh, I forgot to edit this one, so I'm going to edit this later. I will do that later. Did I do the other one though? I did. Okay. So with this was after viewing the video, the kids had 3 survey items regarding their perception of the informative intent of the unboxing video. It was a 5-point scale, definitely not to definitely yes. They asked if the boy in the video wants to help others by sharing useful information about healthy teeth, wants to help others by sharing useful information about this water flosser, and thinks water flosser is good to use. They did a reliability check. You can see here, here's good old Chromevox Alpha. And it was a 0.82, which isn't bad. It's fine. So that's fine. And you can see, obviously, that this is measured on an interval scale. They don't say much about validity, but it is an existing measure, and it has face validity. Like, it makes sense when we look at it. And so they did this internal consistency test. Seems all right. Okay, perceived selling intent. I actually did this properly here. So this was 2 items. It was adapted from an existing scale. Assess children's perception of the selling intent of the video. 5-point scale, definitely not to definitely yes. They were asked if the boy in the video is being paid by the company and is trying to get me to buy this thing. The items were correlated, and you can see here, I put a little note in here if you want to read it. This is the correlation coefficient. It was 0.053. That's not great. They were correlated, but not super highly. So, but you can see that they combine these 2 measures by taking their mean. So I have some notes in here that things that you're going to want to pay attention to. How is it measured? You can see in here, it's used as a dependent variable in H3 and H6A, independent variable in H1 and RQ 2A and 2B. It wasn't manipulated. Validity, we already talked about that it's from an existing scale. And that 0.53 isn't that strong, but it's all right. Also, you're always going to want to find the conceptual definition that links up with it. And I put the note in here, and I have it highlighted and annotated up at the top. That perceived selling intent. It says individuals will engage in cognitive coping strategies when they identify selling intent within a given message. And that's how it was conceptually defined. Content recall, like did they remember it? I have notes on this here. There's no conceptual definition in this article, but it's also kind of manifest, right? Did they remember? So 2 items were used to measure product recall. How much water could the device hold? How many options did it have for how hard it's worth the water? And health recall, what is enamel, what is plaque? And they scored these as correct or incorrect. So you can see here that this would be, they did a summed score, so that's technically ordinal, because you might treat it as an interval, but since you're kind of like adding these up together, it's a little bit of an odd one. Children's product purchase intention, they also didn't have a conceptual definition for this. This was a 1 to 5 scale. Will you ask your parents to buy this water flosser? So there are some questions here about thinking about measurement reliability because it's only 1 item, right? So capturing this with 1 item is not great. It would have been better probably to have multiple items. It's also not a validated scale, so that's not great, as is the content recall. So things that could be brought up as questions. So yeah, lots of measures to consider.